guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Nicole and this is Real Talk Recovery. This is my channel, Real Talk Recovery. So I am a recovering poly addict, and what that means, hey Tabitha, is that I was addicted to multiple substances, and those substances were opiates, methamphetamine, Xanax, alcohol, and basically anything I could get more and more and more of. Anything that changed the way I feel or made me feel like I was better, I would want more of it. I've been in recovery for 3 years, 3 years and like 4 months. My sobriety date is July 13th, 2015. I also utilize a medically assisted treatment program, and will be making a lot more videos about that in the future after the first of the year, because I'm going to be working on a taper with my doctor after the first of the year, and I'm going to be documenting that for you guys. Hold on. I gotta take. Yeah, I was talking to my friend, and I'm like, yeah, I think I'm going to try and do it after the first of the year. Hey, Sam. Okay, now that we got that all settled. So yeah, welcome to my channel. If you're new, if you're stopping by, I hope you'll stay. Hey, Lizette Morales. This is just a place for anyone who needs support, you guys, to come and get support, either sober support, recovery support, if you're trying to better your life, if you're not an addict and you just struggle. Okay, girl. That's cool. So, today I wanted to talk to you guys about, that's crazy, because I went into my settings and I don't have you blocked, baby, or anything like that. So I don't know what's going on. That's really crazy. But you're always welcome here, okay? So, I wanted to talk about keeping a positive mindset and not letting shame overwhelm your life. And so when I was talking to Jason on the phone earlier today, and I was talking about, so for me as a person in recovery, I'll have these times in my life, or times during the day or during the week, or I never know when it's going to happen, where I'll kind of start getting down on myself, you know? I'll start thinking, in my mind, I will start thinking about how I wish I was farther along. I will start thinking about all the things that I wish I had already accomplished, but I haven't already done those things. It's like a lot of shoulda, woulda, coulda going on when I get in that state of mind. And it's almost like I start kind of beating myself up, you know, for the mistakes that I made in my active addiction. And when I'm in that state of mind, I can't move forward. While I'm thinking about all the things I didn't do and all the times I messed up in my life, it's like I get stuck in that mindset. And I mean, even if you're not a person in recovery from drugs and alcohol, we even still, just regular people, you know, we get stuck in that mindset of, I'm not doing good enough, I'll never amount to anything, I'm never going to make it, how am I going to do this, I'm just a loser. And for me, being in that state of mind is dangerous territory, because it's almost like a domino effect. When one thing starts happening, boom, 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 then it all just follows suit. So if I start out my day thinking negatively, if I start out my day and I forget to turn my will over that morning, okay? You know how we've been doing every morning? Every morning, we all wake up and we say, take my will in my recovery, take my will in my life, guide me in my recovery, and show me how to live clean and serene. So that's what we do every morning when we wake up. If I forget to do that, you guys, it's almost like I'm walking down the street and I trip over a rock or something. You know what I mean? It like trips me up for the day. Um, so through like trying to do the extra mindfulness, and like take that time to turn my will over every morning, that kind of helps me start my day off so I don't lead myself into that negative self-talk. But um today, for some reason, so today I stayed at home today. I didn't go into work, so I was just kind of like chilling at the house. And for some reason today, I kind of started. Right, it really is hard to get. It is hard to get out of it, and so that's what I want to talk to you guys about. So today I was just kind of hanging out, chilling around, and I started going back into my mind, thinking about all the things that I haven't done, thinking about all the things that I felt like that I could have achieved by now at 36 years old. And I started getting really overwhelmed, and I started getting really kind of like panicky, right? Hey, Leah. And so I know that it's normal to think back to those things sometimes, but for me, it's detrimental for me not to stay in that thinking. So I called my friend and I started talking to him for a little bit and kind of like changed my thinking. So I want to talk to you guys about like changing your thinking. It's okay to look back on our old lives and to kind of think back and think like how we are a little disappointed in ourselves for making those bad choices, right? It's okay to think back to how crazy we were in our addiction and how that shit fucked up our lives. But it's when we stay there in that mindset and we almost kind of like, it's like glorifying it. You know how we talk about triggers, okay, and thought stopping techniques? So think of that negative self-talk and that negative thinking. Think about that thinking as a trigger, okay? When we come up on that shit, it's okay to have it. It's okay to be in it. But when it comes, we need to change our thinking. We need to say, okay, I've reflected enough on my old life. I remember how I got here and why I don't want to come back. Now let me step out of this negative thinking and get back into gratitude and get back into positivity and building myself up and focusing on the things that I'm going to accomplish, not the things that I haven't accomplished. I also find that for men, it's a lot harder for them when they're in this mindset, because for men, they have a lot of pressure on them from society and by their wives or girlfriends or baby mamas or whatever to be that leader and that person that the other people can depend on. So a lot of the times for guys, it's really, really hard, because what they'll do is they'll get in their heads and they'll think, well, I'm not doing a good job as a husband. I'm not taking good care of my kids. My wife's upset with me because I'm not doing as perfect as she is. And while the guys are thinking that we're upset, we're over here thinking the same thing. I'm not a good enough mom. I'm not a good wife. I'm not doing enough at the house. So if we can bring ourselves together as couples in recovery, if we're struggling and we can connect with each other and talk about that, then you guys, it'll change everything. Like, I have to remind my husband, like, that he's doing a great job and that I'm proud of him. Hey, Mad Max. I have to remind him, like, hey, like, I know it's hard and I have those thoughts too. I think in my mind sometimes, man, I'm not a good enough mom. I'm not doing enough, And that's my addiction trying to pull me back. It's okay to challenge ourselves and want to do better, but when we have negative thoughts like that, like I'm not good enough, I'm not doing enough, those are not productive thinking. That's not productive thinking. It's okay to think, I want to do more. I want to practice spending more time with my children. I want to practice spending more time on my recovery. Not, I don't do anything for my recovery. I'm never going to stay sober. We have to think about how we're talking to ourselves internally. It is all about how we talk to ourselves. So, for instance, here's another example. Okay, so for me, with my weight, we all know I'm super self conscious about my weight and I want to make changes. Okay, I can go around and say, I'm never going to lose weight. I'm so fat. No one's ever going to love me like this. Or I can say, I'm going to make changes in my diet. I'm going to lose weight. I can do this. I'm a thick soul sister, but I'm a good looking chick. There's just different ways to talk to yourself internally when you're going through shit, you guys. And even though it might not seem like it makes a difference, even though it might not seem like it's a big deal, it really does make a difference how you talk to yourself internally, especially when you're trying to accomplish things that you've never done before. Hey, the Purge.
Mommy?
Yeah, buddy. Do your thing. I'll be over there in a minute.
Daddy?
Go in that bathroom over here.
Daddy? I'm going to
So, if we can practice like positive self-talk, even if we're wanting to do something, like even if it is with something like we need to lose weight or we need to do more for our recovery, it's okay to want to do more or to be struggling and falling back. Like, we just got to build ourselves back up and learn that, like, self-deprecating statements like I can't, I'm never going to be, or I will never amount to anything, or I can't do that, or I'm not good enough. Like, these words, these statements, these things that we lead up with, like, it's like practicing those things over and over again in our minds. So if we can wake up, it really is difficult, especially the reason it's hard to not think like that is because we've practiced for so long telling ourselves those things over and over and over again. I'm never going to be good enough. I'll never amount to anything. I'm such a loser. I'll never get sober. I'll never be able to, stay away from drugs. Like, these statements are things that we tell ourselves over and over and over and over and over and over and over again for so many years. And when you practice that, it becomes a working part of your mind. It's like your brain memorizes it, you guys. Like, it's so if we want to change those things, we just have to start changing what we say to ourselves, changing the internal dialogue within ourselves. I'm going to stay sober. I'm going to make good choices today. I want to do better for myself. I want to spend more time with my children. I'm going to be present in my family's life. Okay. Hold on, guys. I got to go get Nate. Hold on. I'm coming.
Mommy's coming, buddy.
Yeah, come here. Look at this stuff.
Here you go, bud.
That child just dropped a deuce.
Daddy,
Sorry, guys.
Daddy.
Okay, so we got to change that internal dialogue within ourselves, you know, and I have to do it too, you guys. Like, it's really difficult for me, especially when, like, okay, for instance, like, I don't really say a lot of stuff like I'm not going to stay sober because, like, I know I'm going to stay sober. Like, when I wake up in the morning, like, I don't want to go out and get high. Like, I know, like, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to stay sober today. You know what I mean? But what I struggle with now is, like, I'll set goals for myself, like, not to eat unhealthily. And it's almost like I am already, like, when I wake up in the morning, I'm like, I'm not going to make it. I'm going to fucking binge eat. I'm going to go to Chick-fil-A and buy chicken nuggets. You know, like, it is really, really hard for me. So, like, where for me it's gotten easier in my recovery, now I have a new challenge, you know? Now I have a new challenge with, like, trying to eat better and lose weight. And so that's where I have been struggling with my, you know, negative internal talking. Like, I tell myself, you're never going to lose this weight, you know, and God, you're so fat, you know, and I really do. Excuse me. Sorry, guys. I really do, like, talk to myself like that. And it's like, if I keep talking to myself like that about my weight, I'm not going to succeed. And how can I come on here and be a good example and leader to you guys if I am, you know, if I can't even not, you know, can't even use my own advice to, you know, to beat this weight. So, like, I just want you guys to know, like, where you guys are struggling maybe with your recovery and your sobriety, like, I'm over here struggling with binge eating. And, fuck, it's like an addiction in itself. I'll do so good through the whole day, and then at night when nobody's awake, I'll go downstairs, and I will relapse on food. And I will just binge eat like you've never seen before. I will make a bagel with turkey and cream cheese with tomatoes. Then I will have chips and dips. Then I will have a bag of chocolate chip cookies. Then I will have a big old giant glass of milk. I ate so much last night, you guys, that my stomach was so sick last night that I probably shit fucking 12 pounds of food out of my asshole. Like, real talk. And I know that's a lot of fucking information, but, like, it's just like drugs. Like, I can't get enough of the food. So, that's why you hide out in your room. I know, I used to do the same thing. Do you guys want to know what my dad did when I lived with my parents? Because I've been doing this since I was a little girl. This just didn't happen when I got sober. I've always had binge eating disorder. When I was younger and I lived with my parents, my dad got a deadbolt and put it on the refrigerator so we couldn't get into it at night. Because if he didn't, then we would eat everything in the house. So just like drugs and alcohol, you know, I need more. It's the same thing with food for me. And also, it's the same thing for me with spending money on makeup. That's another compulsive behavior of mine that I struggle with. So where I have kind of like got my addiction to drugs in check, now I have compulsive behaviors in other areas of my life. And it's almost like I try to identify where I can, like, beat it, you know? I can totally relate to that, girl. But it's like I almost, like, choose my battles. You know what I'm saying? Like, when I wake up in the morning, if I can think about it and be like, if I have enough conscious, like, thinking to say, okay, like, today I'm going to struggle with my eating habits. Like, but, you know, I'm going to stay sober. It's like, well, I almost give myself that, like, leeway to say, well, at least you stayed sober. But now it's getting to the point where that's not really even a good excuse anymore. Like, I've got to do more. You know what I mean? So I want to challenge myself to do more to stay, to change my life. And you guys are going to see me go through this. It's so hard, guys. I haven't smoked. I've quit smoking actually, guys. It's been about 60 days. Um, so just don't think that you guys are ever alone in your struggles. Like, I'm over here doing the struggling too. I mean, if it's not one thing, it's the other thing. And I try to think about it like this, like, well, I'm staying sober. I'm taking good care of my son. I'm being present. I am doing these classes and these meetings here, on YouTube, and that's helping me a lot. Like, being kind of a little like leader on these live streams and stuff has really given me a lot of like self-confidence, and thanks, Anna, and helped me to build up my self-esteem. You know what I mean? But I do know that, like, I know you guys aren't always going to be here, so I have to start learning how to do things, for myself. So that's why I'm trying to, like, get myself back on track with my eating habits and everything. And, woo, it's so hard, guys. It is hard. Like, the struggle is real. The struggle is real. I'm just a little proud of us all for staying sober. You know what I mean? So, that leads me into shame. Okay? Shame. Do you guys know that I used to be ashamed to eat in front of people? Not anymore. No, not Shane. Shame. So, we all know that, like, shame and guilt suck. It's okay to feel a little bit of guilt, but shame is what keeps us sick in our addiction. And I kind of wanted to talk to you guys about that. I think I have some stuff I want to read to you guys about shame. So, okay, let me get my little spot here. Okay. Okay, so I wanted to talk to you guys. I kind of want to read a little bit from step 7. I know we're jumping ahead a little bit, but what you do in step 4 is make a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. And so step 4 is something that you do with your sponsor. And so step 4, 5, 6 are kind of all together with your sponsor. So I wanted to talk about our shortcomings. So it says, humbly asked him to remove our shortcomings. So I know that, like, a lot of the things that I have, like my shortcomings and character defects, which are things that, flaws, that's what they are. They're flaws. Okay? My flaws of my character. Shame is one of those things that, like, likes to attach itself onto me because of all the things that I've done in my addiction. You know what I mean? A lot of the times, like, I will have a lot of shame about the things that I did when I was pregnant with my son, and I have a lot of shame about, some of the things I did, like stealing while I was in my active addiction. Fucking sucks. So, let me get to step 7 here in this thing. I love reading out of the book. Okay. Gratitude is the basis for humility. Humility, seeing myself as God. What? Seeing myself, knowing who I, seeing myself as good. Knowing who, well, I don't know what that says. Anyways, I wrote down something, I cannot even read it. Okay. Since this step so specifically concerns itself with humility, we should pause here to consider what humility is and what the practice of it can mean to us. Indeed, the attainment of greater humility is the foundation principle of each of AA's 12 steps. For without some degree of humility, no alcoholic or addict can stay sober at all. Nearly all AAs have found, too, that unless they develop much more of this precious quality, than may be required just for sobriety, they still haven't much chance of becoming truly happy. Without it, they cannot live to much useful purpose or in adversity, be able to summon the faith that can meet any emergency. Humility as a word and as an idea has a very bad time of it in our world. Not only is the idea misunderstood, the word itself is often intensely disliked. Many people haven't even a nodding acquaintance with humility as a way of life. Much of the everyday talk we hear, and a great deal of what we read, highlights man's pride in his own achievements. With great intelligence, men of science have been forcing nature to disclose her secrets. The immense resources now being harnessed promise such a quantity of material blessings that many have come to believe that a man-made millennium lies just ahead. Poverty will disappear, and there will be such abundance that everybody can have all the security and personal satisfaction he desires. The theory seems to be that once everybody's primary instincts are satisfied, there won't be much left to quarrel about. The world will then return happy and be free to concentrate on culture and character. So solely by their own intelligence and labor, men will have shaped their own destiny. Certainly no alcoholic and certainly no member of AA wants to deprecate material achievement. Nor do we enter into debate with the many who still so passionately cling to the belief that to satisfy our basic natural desire is the main object of life. But we are sure that no class of people in the world ever made a worse mess of trying to live by this formula than alcoholics. For thousands of years, we have been demanding more than our share of security, prestige, and romance. When we seemed to be succeeding, we drank to dream still greater dreams. When we were frustrated, even in part, we drank for oblivion. Never was there enough of what we thought we wanted. Oh my God, isn't that the truth? Like when I was in my active addiction, there was never enough. And even when I'm sober, I still have that attitude that there's like, sometimes I just want more. In all these strivings, so many of them well-intentioned, our crippling handicap had been our lack of humility. We had lacked the perspective to see that character building and spiritual values had to come first, and that material satisfactions were not the purpose of living. So the purpose of living is not about like all the things that we can, buy, all the big houses we can live in. To me, the purpose of living is connecting with other people and having those relationships, meaningful friendships and meaningful relationships with the people that we love and our family. And like times like this when we're all connecting, this is what life is about. Quite characteristically, we had gone all out in confusing the ends with the means. Instead of regarding the satisfaction of our material desires as the means by which we could live and function as human beings, we had taken these satisfactions to be the final end and aim of life. True, most of us thought good character was desirable, but obviously good character was something one needed to get on with the business of being self-satisfied. That's all. When we're in our addiction, that's all we're trying to do is satisfy self to get what we need when we want it right then now. With a proper display of honesty and morality, we'd stand a better chance of getting what we really wanted. But whenever we had to choose between character and comfort, the character building was lost in the dust of our chase after what we thought was happiness. So whenever we had to choose between either like building character or being comfortable in our old ways and just doing it the easy way, what do? We're like, forget that character shit. I'm taking the easy road. Seldom do we look at character building as something desirable in itself, something we would like to strive for, whether our instructional needs were met or not. We never thought of making honesty, tolerance, and true love of man and God the daily basis of living. Okay, so that's what we're doing right now by like joining together and having these meetings. This is character building. This is us learning about the inside of ourselves. Like if you can admit and that you were a shitty person when you were in your active addiction, and that you might even be a shitty person now and selfish, and try to change that, that's where recovery starts happening. Because sure, we all want to be like, oh, I was such a good person, I would do anything for anybody. But really, when we're in our addiction, that's a lie. Like when you're in your active addiction, the only person you're trying to make to the only person you're trying to help when you're in your active addiction is yourself. The only person you're trying to do anything for is yourself, to feed that addiction. So when we get sober and we start humbling ourselves, getting honest, open-minded, and willing, then we start actually doing things from outside of ourselves, not for ourselves anymore, but for helping other people. And that's what helps us stay on track. You know what I mean? We never thought of making honesty, tolerance, and true love of man and God the daily basis of living. This lack of anchorage to any permanent values, this blindness to the true purpose of our lives, produced another bad result. For just so long as we were convinced that we could live excessively by our own individual strength and intelligence, for just that long was a working faith in a higher power impossible. This was true even when we believed that God existed. We could actually have earnest religious beliefs which remained barren because we were still trying to play God ourselves. So when we put our trust in a power greater than ourselves, that's what we do in the mornings when we turn our will over, okay? But when we're living in our own self-will, oh, thanks, Faith. When we're living in our own self-will, in our own selfish ways, even if you're not an addict or an alcoholic, you can still struggle with self-will. And what happens is they call it self-will running riot. It's when we, like, everything is about us. And that's what it's about when we're in our addiction. But even if you're just a person who struggles with everyday life problems, like maybe, like I was saying before, maybe you have a food addiction and you just like want more, 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 more. Maybe you have a spending or an addiction to shopping. Maybe you are a person who has an addiction to loving people that need to be fixed, codependency. Maybe you are a workaholic and you go to work all the time because you just think that you have to be working all the time to be making money to be any kind of person of importance. And these are things that, like, even as regular people, like, we all struggle with, because it's like, what is the point of being here if we can't be with each other? You know, like having all the money in the world, having all the fame in the world, having all the followers or all the YouTube channel people, or, you know, being a famous whatever. Like, if you don't have that to share with somebody else and you can't get out of your own selfish way to be of service to other people, then, like, what feels good about that? You know what I mean? Like, I kind of wanted to tie this into what I was talking about Jackie Ina the other day and her tweets about white people. And it's like, for her, I feel like she's just gotten to a point. Right, and even for people that are not addicts, like addicts on drugs, even regular people can get caught up in that tunnel vision, you know? Let me stay on track, because I'll take this all over the place, y'all. For us, the process of gaining a new perspective was unbelievably painful. So, remember how I was talking to you guys about we have to change our perspective. Like, we can't look at the glass as it's almost empty. We got to look at it like it's almost full. Or we got to change our perspective as, like, I can't do life without drugs. You know, we have to open up our minds and find a happiness in something else. We have to find have a belief in something greater than ourselves. Something greater than that solution that we used to use, which was drugs and alcohol, to change the way we felt. Because, okay, so when I got sober, my solution to feeling bad was still drugs and alcohol. I live in Arkansas, but my mom is Mexican and my dad's Italian. I was born in New York. Um, even whenever, oh, even whenever we're in our, when I got sober, it was like I still had to change my thinking and change my habits, because my way of curing, my way of working through my own problems, or like processing grief or being uncomfortable, was taking something. Oh, I'm having a shitty day. I'm going to take a pill. Oh, I got in a fight with my best friend. Let me take a pill. Oh, I'm having pain. Let me take a pill. And for me, my pain was, maybe I had back pain or physical pain, but it wasn't like physical pain that was justified for me eating handfuls of roxycodone. You know what I mean? So we have to change our perspective and find new ways to cope with those things. So changing our perspective to positivity and not looking at things so pessimistically, is that the word for it? And start looking at things more optimistically. Will change your life. It was only by repeated humiliations that we were forced to learn something about humility. It was only at the end of a long road, marked by successive defeats and humiliations, and the final crushing of our self-sufficiency, that we began to feel humility as something more than a condition of groveling despair. So crushing our self-sufficiency. So that's what we did when we were in our addiction. We were self-sufficient, as in we went out and found our dope. We were always searching. But now that we're in our recovery, we can still be self-sufficient, but we have to ask for guidance and turn ourselves over to something to help us. Because our minds are still warped. You guys know what I mean? Like, we still have that old way of thinking with drugs and alcohol, and that will taper over into our regular life with just regular situations. So it's difficult, you guys. It's difficult to change that old thinking. Every newcomer in Alcoholics Anonymous is told, and soon realizes for himself, that his humble admission of powerlessness over alcohol is his first step towards liberation from its paralyzing grip. So, did you guys hear that? It says, the humble admission of powerlessness over alcohol or pills or whatever your drug of choice is the first step towards liberation from its grip. Because, girl, Faith, I'm telling you right now, I have so many other addictions other than just drugs and alcohol, and I didn't think I did until I got sober from drugs and alcohol and started seeing how my addicted behaviors would flow over into other parts of my life. And so I'm very much so addicted to relationships and fixing men who need help. And for a long time, I spent so many years of my life in codependent relationships where I was trying to solve someone else's problems and not work on myself. Because through doing that, that made me feel better about me. But I didn't realize it then. I was too stuck in it to realize I was using men and trying to fix them or change them to make myself feel important and needed. And that's what that codependency for me is a huge deal, a huge sickness. And then also, my addiction started spilling over into my eating habits, and then my addiction started spilling over before I ever even became really addicted to drugs, you guys. I had a spending addiction. And then when I was in my addiction, I got even worse. And that's why I had to file bankruptcy at 20-something years old, because I had $75,000 worth of credit card debt. But that's the thing, you guys. What we have to do is we have to look at our addictions. Maybe your addiction is YouTube, right? Look at it like this. Is it serving you? Is it causing you negative? Yeah, I have a Twitter. It's in the description box of my video. I can't remember what my name is on there, but I have Twitter. You can follow me and I'll follow you back. I follow everybody that follows me. I don't have a lot of followers, but I just, like to follow people. What was I saying? Damn, I lost it. What was I saying, you guys? So anyway, if you have an addictive personality, your addictions can manifest themselves in all different areas of your life, not just drugs and alcohol. I know a lot of women who are like house moms, and they are addicted to, basically, like, their addiction is their children. You know what I mean? Their addiction is that codependent relationship between their child and themselves, or that cleaning, that like OCD kind of cleaning mentality. But hey, is it causing you negative consequences? If it's not causing you negative consequences, then it's not like you're abusing it, Then I don't know if you would call it an addiction. It might just be like an overwhelming kind of act that you do, something that you do overkill, obsessively. But that's kind of that's kind of what the difference between, like, am I addicted or am I just abusing this, I don't even know, like, if saying addictive personality is even politically correct, but it's like a lot of us kind of are more susceptible to, maybe in your family, if you have a family member who has alcoholism or addiction, or down the line, if you can be genetically predisposed to addiction, okay, through other members of your family having alcoholism or addiction. Or maybe you're just easily influenced and you have like not a weaker personality, but a more timid, like, personality where you're influenced and you'll try things because of peer pressure. I know that I did, like, when I was little. That's how this all started. Like, I was in a relationship with a boy and he was so fine and he smoked pot and did cocaine. So you know what I did? Smoked pot and did cocaine. That's how it all started. And then what happened was I liked the way those drugs made me feel. When I took drugs and alcohol in my body, they made me feel super. They made me feel like I could do more. They made me feel like Superwoman. You know what I mean? Awesome. And so when I was doing those things, that's why I did them, because it's like they made me feel like I was better. Do you guys know what I mean? But then the longer I stayed abusing drugs and alcohol, the worse the side effects started reversing, and I was no longer being better. I was no longer being able to clean my house and take better care of things, or be skinny. Like, the side effects of drugs and alcohol were reversing, and I was not getting good results from it anymore. I was becoming dependent, and I was getting horrible results, like getting kicked out of school, losing jobs, having car wrecks, losing my driver's license, being suspended from driving. Like, all these negative consequences started happening. But we all started out, if we were abusing drugs and alcohol, because the results we were getting were something we liked. But then you cross this imaginary line where you're no longer getting those results. Y'all feel me? Same thing with people who have maybe addictions to food, or dependencies on, like, OCD kind of dependencies. Like, what'll happen is that behavior starts taking over your life. Like, maybe it's like a cleaning behavior, and at first it was all good because, like, hey, you got your house clean and things were going good. But then what happens is it, like, starts taking over your regular life, and you can no longer, like, operate your life on a regular, like, operate your life without that cleaning coming into your life. Do y'all know what I mean? It's like, we all were getting good results from drugs and alcohol, or whatever behavior that we were doing obsessively. We all used to get good results because that was our solution. But then we cross over this imaginary line where it's like the results are not there anymore, or we're getting negative results. And that's when people start saying, oh God, like, I got to make a change. Like, oh, for instance, girls that have eating disorders, maybe bulimia, anorexia, binge eating disorder. Like, it's all good while you're getting those good results. But then when you start, like, dying basically, and your body is like falling apart, if you might be able to see that. Hopefully you can. But a lot of girls, when we're stuck in that, like, that eating and that hurting ourselves with food or not with enough food, like, we can't even see it. And that's when that control is what keeps us doing it. It's like, okay, well, I have control over this one part of my life, you know. Damn, dude, eating disorders are a whole nother level. Like, but I know a lot of girls that struggle, and guys that struggle with, like, starving themselves and throwing up, binging and purging, you know. And it's like this, almost like this control thing, like, I have to have this, you know, because I can do this. Hey, girl. Right. And so we just all have to remember that, like, now that we're sober, like, drugs and alcohol are not our solution anymore. Our solution is believing in something better, bigger than ourselves, our higher power, and group therapy, and talking about things, and just joining together. Like, this has to be our new solution. You know what I mean? Like, if we're reaching for something outside of ourselves, it needs to be something positive, like this group, or, you know, going to meetings, or just sharing how we feel, you guys. Talking about what you're going through. I cannot wait. Like, I want to talk to you guys before I end this live stream, because I've almost been on here an hour, and my mother-in-law is trying to call, blah, 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 blah. So here's the deal. I have created, me and George from My Benzo Hell have created a Google Hangouts. And what we're going to start doing, and I want you guys to come, I'm going to link it in the description. I'm going to link it in the comments, the Google Hangouts link. Or know what? No. If you want to be in the Google Hangouts, message me on Twitter or Instagram, or email me, because I want you to want to be there. Because what we're going to start doing is we're going to start doing virtual meetings on Google Hangouts every Wednesday. I haven't nailed down a time yet, but I'm thinking, because I usually get home a little bit after 2, so I'm thinking it'll be like, we'll just say 3 o'clock Central Standard Time. I hope George can make it, because it's at 3 o'clock. I think it's 8 p.m. there in the UK. But what I'm going to start doing is Wednesdays, 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, we are going to have a virtual meeting. And the way it's going to work out is I'm going to be the chairperson of the meeting until you guys get comfortable, and then I want you guys to start chairing it. But what we're going to do is you guys will all come to the Google Hangouts. We'll call each other on a video chat. So there can be up to 10 of us on a video. And what we'll do is the person to the left of me will start out the meeting with the Serenity Prayer, okay? And then the person to the left of me is going to start sharing. And what we want to do each meeting is a check-in, because we're just going to have one meeting a week. So it'll be like a midweek check-in. You guys check in, let us know how you're doing, share your name, your sobriety date, and what you're struggling with. If you're struggling with anything, or anything you want to share. Okay, so you'll share that. Then after you share, I'll give everybody a second to raise their hand and either give you some feedback or anything they want to say to you to help you with whatever you're going through. So we'll go around the room and everybody will do their sharing. And then when it comes back around to me, that's when we'll get in the book and we'll start, we'll have a meeting. And what I'll do is I'll just share like a topic. So maybe we'll talk about humility one meeting, and I'll talk to you guys about what humility means to me, and I'll kind of share a little bit about that. And then if anybody else wants to share on the topic, they'll raise their hand. I'll say, hey, go ahead, and then they'll go. But what we'll have to do is keep it really organized to where we can all share. And that's why I'm going to have, like, we're going to raise our hands, and so that way I can say, oh, okay, you know, so and so, go ahead, and we'll keep it like that. But we'll all have a moment to share in the beginning just about anything you're going through. And then if I feel like, you know, somebody really shared something that I feel like we should talk about for the meeting, what I'll do is I'll make a call and I'll say, you know what, we're going to talk about what so-and-so's going through today. I want you guys to give her some tips and tricks on things that you would do if you were in that situation. And we'll just process together. It'll probably take about an hour and 20 minutes, and then that'll be it. But I want to do that, you guys. It's like tomorrow is going to be the first day we do it. I mean, I hope some people will show up. I'm just going to go ahead and say, like, it's going to be tomorrow at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time on the Google Hangouts. And if you want to come on through. Don't be scared. If we're going around the circle and there's only a couple of us, if you don't want to share, you can say I pass. Ah, okay, girl. We're cheering for you. You can do this. You can do this. Go in there and say, "Hey, dentist, I'm in recovery." Then you ain't even got to worry about it. Okay, cool. It's going to be so awesome. I'm so excited. So that's the deal, you guys. Like, we'll go around and each person, if you don't want to share, you just say, "Can I pass?" And then pass. It's okay until you get comfortable. But I want everybody to get like to a point where they're going to be like sharing, because it's for us. It's for us by us. You know what I mean? And so this will be good for people that can't get to a meeting, and then we'll end the meeting with the serenity with our "Take my will in my life, guide me in my recovery, and show me how to live clean and serene." And that's how we'll end it, okay? So that's my idea. It might be a little rocky at the beginning, but it's going to be great. Hey, your mom's out there, Neil. Your mom's out front. Hey, April. So that's the idea. Just go in there, Roberta, and tell him, say, "Doc, I'm in recovery. I know it's hard. Just tell him. Just say, I'm in recovery." You know, when I went to go see my dentist, here, we'll have a little story time. I had to go get this tooth back here pulled completely out. You guys, like, I was chewing on a now and later because, you know, I have a sugar addiction. And I was chewing on a now and later, and that motherfucking tooth broke smooth in half. And I didn't get it fixed for so long, and it would swell out to here, right? Well, then, so I called the doctor, and I was like, I need to get this pulled out. So I went in, and they were like, "Well, you know, it's going to hurt really bad. Are you going to want anything for after the pain?" And I was like, "Oh, I can't have anything. I'm an opiate addict." And he was like, "Oh, okay. Well, then I'm going to make you as comfortable as possible." And they shot me with all these shots. Let me tell you something. They shot me so much that my face was numb for the whole day. I couldn't even like move this half of my face. It's crazy. I'm sorry. I know. Okay. Well, I'm praying for you, girl. I know. I don't know what you mean, but I think I know what you mean. With a bit of honey. We're just so bad. We love those candies, don't we? But, you know, it is kind of uncomfortable though, like laying there, like all kind of, like, just kind of bring yourself a little blanket that you can put over you, you know what I mean? So that way you'll be kind of something to comfort you. But I really hope you guys will come to the Google Hangouts. Like I said, I will send, Roberta, I'll send you a link. I don't know if you're in that one, if you're in the NA one yet. I think you are, but I'll send you another link if I have to. And then I think I sent most of you guys links, but like I said, I want, yeah, bring a blanket. I think a lot of you guys will really, really like it. And I don't want it to just be about me. Like, of course, I'm going to, like, kind of lead the group at first. But, like, I want you guys to feel comfortable in jumping in and saying, you know, for the next meeting, "Hey, Nicole, like, I really liked the meeting. Can I lead next week?" And, like, I would love that. So don't think that I'm over here, like, I want you guys to want to do these things too. So I'm just kind of starting out the first one, so that way we can all kind of be like, "Oh, okay, we get it now." It'll kind of just be like a regular meeting, only it's just going to be us. Just like, so if you have never been to it, like an AA or an NA meeting, you might not know what I mean. But for the people that have, they know what I mean. And they know, like, there's no cross-talking. We don't talk over each other. We, like, raise our hand for permission to talk. So that way it doesn't get all, like, chaotic. Y'all feel me? Okay. All right, guys. I'm excited. I love you guys. Okay, Michelle, I will. Okay, Roberta, I love you, girl. Get yourself a little blanket and cover yourself up and snuggle down in there. I love y'all, and if you need me, y'all know how to get a hold of me. Michelle, I'm going to go ahead and message you now, and I love you guys so much. Awesome meeting today. I really enjoyed this live stream, and thanks for everybody for participating. For real, it makes it like it makes it easy to do these whenever everybody's participating. So I really enjoyed today, and I just like sharing stuff about what I'm going through with you guys, because let me tell you, the struggle's real. So I love you guys, and I'll talk to you guys later.